The story of Batman from Earth -22 was not all that different from the fate of many other versions of the Dark Knight. It began in the classic way. When Bruce Wayne was still a boy, his parents were murdered right in front of him in a dark alley. That moment scarred him forever. Bruce swore that he would dedicate his life to fighting crime. For years, he trained his body and his mind until he finally became Batman, a masked vigilante operating in Gotham City, a dark metropolis drowning in corruption and violence. Over time, Batman was no longer completely alone. As a self-appointed guardian of justice, he began taking others under his wing. Among them was Batgirl, Batman's ally, wearing a similar costume and often supporting him in the field. There was also Nightwing, the former Robin, who had grown up and started operating by his own rules. Then came Red Hood, another former partner of Batman, but one with far more brutal methods. And Red Robin, another successor to the Robin mantle, still connected to Batman as both a student and an ally. On top of all that, Batman also had a son, Damian Wayne, Bruce's biological child, raised in harsh conditions and pulled into this world of war from the very beginning. Bruce Wayne was also a member of the Justice League, the most important team of superheroes in the DC Universe, something like Earth's elite emergency response unit. And that was when something happened that showed just how deeply Batman was capable of distrust. In his world, Lex Luthor, a genius billionaire and Superman's arch-enemy, known for manipulation and his hunger for power, announced that he wanted to become a hero. He even went as far as trying to convince the Justice League to let him join them. And while some members of the League considered the idea, Batman was the only one who stood firmly against it. Why? Because from the very beginning, Batman saw it as a performance. He knew Luthor did not truly believe in heroism. He was not doing it because he wanted to save people. He was doing it out of pure self-interest. To Batman, it was obvious that Lex cared only about himself. Everything began to collapse when the Joker unleashed a true massacre in Gotham. He discovered that he was dying. The same chemicals that had once turned him into what he was were now destroying his body. And Joker decided that if he was going to die, he would not go alone. He wanted to take the entire city with him. He started with something that sounded insane, even by his standards. He began killing Batman's enemies. One by one, villains like the Penguin, Catwoman, Killer Croc, and the Ventriloquist were murdered. It was as if Joker wanted to clear the board, to remove everyone who had ever been part of the same twisted game in Gotham. But that was only the beginning. Soon after, Joker also killed Commissioner Jim Gordon, one of Batman's closest allies within the police. Gordon died in an absurd and cruel way. He accidentally triggered an acid trap hidden inside a notebook, and the corrosive substance literally melted his face. Then Joker decided to strike even harder, not just at the city, but directly at Batman himself. He drugged Bruce with a substance that temporarily paralyzed his entire body. Batman's mind was still working. He could see everything. He understood everything, but he could not move. Joker wanted Bruce to witness what was happening and to be completely powerless to stop it. First, Joker blew up a hospital right in front of Batman's eyes. Then he moved on to something even more personal, even more sadistic. In front of Bruce, he shot and killed the parents of many young children. He did it deliberately, as if he wanted to recreate Bruce's childhood trauma, only this time multiplied, with dozens of new victims, and even that was not the end. Joker injected those children with an incurable, irreversible version of Joker Venom, his toxic trademark. He claimed he was doing it to create something new, a hybrid of Batman and the Joker, something with Batman's obsession and his mission, but with the Joker's chaotic nature. Eventually, Batman regained the ability to move, and in that moment, something inside him snapped, something he had always guarded more than anything else. After everything he had seen, after all that trauma, rage, and helplessness, he lunged at the Joker, grabbed him, and broke his neck. Batman killed. But there was one thing he did not know. Joker had prepared for his own death. Inside his heart was a toxin the Joker would release with his final breath. If he died, the poison would infect anyone close enough to him. And in that moment, there was only one man standing beside the Joker: Batman. 2 days after killing the Joker, Batman spoke with Superman about what had happened. Bruce felt no remorse, but at the same time, he made it clear that he did not intend to turn killing into his new rule. Superman tried to calm him down and assured him that the STAR Labs facility in Metropolis had agreed to take care of all the children infected with Joker venom. During the conversation, Superman mentioned a detail that sounded almost impossible to imagine. One of the children had tried to bite out a doctor's throat, and then something strange happened. Batman let out a quiet laugh. It was so brief, so out of place, that it shocked them both. 3 days later, in the Batcave, Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Red Robin were training. But the conversation quickly turned to Bruce, because all of them could see that his condition was getting worse. Each of them offered whatever help they could. Batman rejected it without hesitation. He said plainly that he did not want any support. And then he revealed the real reason he had called them there. He knew they would be the first to notice that something was wrong with him, and he knew that if things escalated, they would warn the other heroes. Bruce could not allow that. Then he did something none of them could have expected. Pulled out hidden machine guns and shot them all dead on the spot. Later, Bruce also brought Damian over to his side. He convinced his son to stand with him and then changed him by giving him Joker venom, making him more like himself. After that, he gathered all the children who had been transformed during Joker's original attack. He took them from custody and turned them into his new army, trained, feral Robins, who served as tools obedient only to him. Almost 2 weeks after Joker's death, Batman moved into the final stage. He used the vast stockpile of weapons and gadgets taken over the years from different supervillains, an arsenal the League had collected throughout its missions, and began slaughtering the rest of the Justice League. At one point, he also created a form of black kryptonite and used it against Supergirl. He drove her insane, forced her to kill her own family, and then killed her himself. On the Watchtower, the League's orbital base, he finally caught up with Superman. He released kryptonite-laced gas into the air and announced that he was done holding back. Then he brought Clark's wife, Lois, and his son John before him. And he demanded that Superman lie to his family. He wanted Clark to tell them that everything was going to be okay. Clark refused. So Bruce threw a shard of black kryptonite toward the Kryptonians, and he watched as father and son descended into madness. In their frenzy, they tore Lois apart, then turned on each other and killed one another. That was the moment Bruce's transformation became complete. That was the moment the Batman Who Laughs was born. But the Batman Who Laughs did not stop with the League. He moved on and began murdering more enemies, including many members of the Immortal Men, a group of humans gifted with extraordinary longevity, capable of being reborn or living for hundreds of years. He killed them one by one, until he finally realized what the problem was. There were far more immortals in the world than he had ever imagined. Meanwhile, the people of Earth-22 tried to defend themselves. The world answered Batman's terror with resistance, but Bruce systematically destroyed everything sent against him. Every plan, every ambush, every attempt to stop him. They all ended the same way, total massacre, until finally there was almost nothing left on the battlefield. Nothing but him and his Robins. The last person who dared to stand in his way was Alfred, Bruce's loyal butler and guardian, the man who knew him better than anyone else. And Alfred came close to winning. He set traps inside the Batcave. He sabotaged the vehicles and equipment. He used his knowledge of every corner of that fortress to finally stop him. But Bruce won in a different way, not with violence. With words, he convinced Alfred that there was still hope for him, that he could still be saved. And when Alfred believed it, the Batman Who Laughs lured him into a trap, imprisoned him in the lower levels of the underground caves, and cut off every path of escape. After that, he kept Alfred as a prisoner for a long time. He fed him scraps. He stripped him of dignity. And above all, he broke him mentally. Day after day, he whispered to him, tormented him, and twisted his mind until Alfred was driven into madness. In the end, Bruce achieved what he wanted. Alfred broke and once again became his obedient servant. And then something even bigger happened. Something that reached far beyond Gotham. And even beyond that one Earth. As Bruce's world began to literally disappear, Barbados appeared. A powerful being connected to the dark side of the DC cosmos, tied to the nightmare Batman. Barbados revealed to him the existence of the Dark Multiverse, a vast realm of twisted, nightmarish realities, like shadows and evil reflections of the worlds we know. Barbados did not hide his ambition either. He wanted to strike at the true multiverse, the main, proper network of worlds and realities. And Bruce of Earth -22 understood that the Batman who laughs was the perfect weapon for such a plan. In his eyes, he was meant to become the tip of the spear, the main executor, the Batman who would lead the assault and help Barbados drag all of existence into darkness. The Batman who laughs ventured deep into the dark multiverse to gather a team of the most corrupted versions of Batman that existed, versions that could help him conquer the main multiverse. He traveled from world to world, visiting his future knights, literally minutes before their realities were erased from existence. And he played on what was strongest inside them, the desire to survive, but also the belief that their vision of truth and justice was the correct one, and that they deserved to impose it on worlds beyond their own. Each of these Batmen immediately seized the opportunity. Instead of vanishing along with their dying worlds, they could survive and carry their mission further. And so they gathered, waiting for the moment when they would be able to cross over to Earth Zero. Eventually, they were summoned there by the Court of Owls, the secret society that ruled Gotham from the shadows. But the Batman who laughs had no intention of being anyone's tool. His first move after arriving was brutal and unmistakable. He ordered his twisted Robins to massacre the leaders of the court. With one strike, he cut off their heads, both literally and figuratively. Then he let his knights off the leash. He sent them to the home cities of the Justice League members, making sure that each hero would be attacked in their own territory, in the place they knew best, the place they usually considered safe. And once chaos had begun to spread, the Batman who laughs struck directly at the heart of the League. He accepted the risk and attacked Cyborg aboard the Watchtower. There, face to face, he explained something that sounded absurd, but was part of a much greater plan. He told Cyborg that they had been summoned to this universe by a powerful, tremendous sound, almost like a cosmic ringing. And although they were nightmares, although their nature was twisted and terrifying, in this world, they were needed. According to him, they were even going to save the world. After taking over the Watchtower, each of the Dark Knights was given control over their own city. The one known as the One Who Laughs, the Batman Who Laughs, was assigned to protect Gotham. And that was no coincidence, because Gotham was the place where Barbatos intended to bring his final plan to life. Bruce began with a brutal assault on Arkham Asylum, the psychiatric prison where Gotham keeps its most dangerous criminals. He tore through the entire facility, triggered a mass breakout, and almost instantly caused the city to begin collapsing from within. Then he did something even worse. He reached for gifts that would change the rules of the game. To Batman's most dangerous enemies, he offered magical playing cards made from cosmic metallurgy, an extraordinary material of alien origin tied to powers capable of affecting reality itself. These cards allowed their owners to bend the world however they wished, to literally manipulate reality. The cards were given to the Riddler, Poison Ivy, Firefly, Bane, Mr. Freeze, and the Mad Hatter. Each of them received their own section of Gotham, a part of the city they could reshape and rule according to their own laws. Their mission was clear: maintain control and protect the new threat that had appeared in the very center of the metropolis. Challenger's Mountain, a massive mountain standing in the middle of Gotham. The Batman Who Laughs watched it all from above. From his own peak, he looked down at the slaughter and chaos like it was a performance. He watched as each villain used the cards and their power to warp reality, while the entire city transformed into a nightmare, divided into zones, each one ruled by a different, corrupted logic. Eventually, a response began to form against this horror. The Teen Titans gathered, a team of young heroes. Alongside them came Green Arrow, the archer and superhero operating mostly in the world of street-level justice, as well as Nightwing, the Suicide Squad, a unit of criminals forced to carry out missions for the government. Together, they formed something like the Gotham Resistance, a movement determined to overthrow the rulers of the city who had been armed with reality-warping power. During this conflict, the son of the Batman who laughed, Damian, was killed, and that revealed the full scale of Bruce's transformation. His reaction was ice cold. He showed no grief, no shock. He remained indifferent, as if it meant nothing to him at all. The Batman who laughs watched with satisfaction as his Dark Knights tortured members of the Justice League across the world. To him, this was the culmination, the triumph, the proof that the plan was working. But that fun did not last long. His joy was interrupted by Cyborg, who managed to save the members of the League and free them from the control of the Dark Knights. And that was when the true purpose of the entire operation was revealed. As part of his plan, the Batman who laughs revealed that he had captured the Overmonitor, a cosmic being connected to the very structure of reality itself. The key was what he intended to do next. He wanted to connect the Overmonitor to the astral brain of the Anti-Monitor. According to him, that system would lead to the complete destruction of everything, both the dark multiverse and the ordinary multiverse, leaving behind only darkness. But at that moment, the plan began to fall apart. The Justice League and their allies from across the multiverse entered the fight and stopped that scenario before it became irreversible. During the battle, the heroes also realized something extremely important. The Batman who laughs could predict Batman's moves, but only up to a certain point. He could anticipate decisions that Bruce Wayne would make realistically, according to his character and experience. In other words, he was a monstrous mirror of Batman, one that knew his logic, his habits, and his patterns. So the Batman of this world reached for something that would normally never even enter his mind. He made an alliance with the Joker. Yes, to win, Batman did the one thing he would almost never do. He joined forces with his greatest enemy, because only that gave him a chance to make a move the Batman who laughs could never predict. In the final confrontation, Batman managed to escape his evil counterpart and free the Overmonitor. At the same time, the cave where the battle was taking place began to collapse. Rubble and falling stone came crashing down onto the Batman who laughs and the Joker, cutting them off from the rest. In the end, thanks to the combined effort of heroes from across the world, Barbatos was defeated. The invasion of the Dark Multiverse was stopped, and the remaining Dark Knights were either captured or killed in their final battles against the members of the Justice League. But the Batman who laughs survived the collapse of the cave. He crawled out from beneath the rubble and did not stop for even a moment. He continued pushing toward the complete destruction of the world, searching for new ways to bring humanity to its knees. This time, he allied himself with the House of Conquest, a faction whose goal was domination through conflict and conquest. They stood against the Council of Immortals, a council made up of the Immortals, beings who tried to maintain order and balance. The Batman who laughs played a very specific role in that conflict. He helped in an attempt to ignite a global war. According to the ideology of the House of Conquest, humanity would become weak without long, destructive conflict. So to them, war was not a tragedy, it was a tool. Sometime later, the Batman who laughs changed direction. He began hunting Lex Luthor of Prime Earth, the main base version of Earth in the DC Multiverse, often simply called Earth Zero. To do this, he broke into the LexCorp Multiverse Research Lab, a LexCorp facility dedicated to research on the multiverse. And the most interesting part was this: the Batman who laughs deliberately allowed himself to be captured by the Legion of Doom, a group of supervillains organized as an anti-league, basically the evil counterpart to the Justice League. He did it with cold calculation. He wanted to get close to them so he could share his knowledge about matters on a much larger scale. The totality, a mysterious cosmic force or artifact tied to the foundations of reality. And Perpetua, a powerful being connected to events on the level of the multiverse itself. In other words, Bruce was not captured because he had lost. He allowed himself to be captured because he decided it was the best way to plant ideas inside the Legion of Doom. Ideas that could set reality on fire from within. The Batman Who Laughs resurfaced in Gotham, and this time, he was not working alone. He joined forces with another Batman from the dark multiverse, known as the Grim Knight. Together, they worked on a deadly serum created from the remains of dead Bruce Waynes from different worlds. The goal was simple: maximum chaos, and the first piece of the plan was the Joker. They managed to break into Arkham Asylum and reach Joker's cell, but it turned out that the real Joker was no longer there. Instead, he had gone to the Batman of Prime Earth, looking for protection. Batman agreed, once again, to enter into a forced alliance with the Joker. But this time, Joker had a plan of his own, and it was a trap. Joker tried to commit suicide in order to activate the toxin inside his body, the same kind of toxin that, in another world, had led to the creation of the Batman Who Laughs. In other words, he wanted to repeat that tragedy on Prime Earth and infect Batman the same way it had happened on Earth -22. At the same time, the Batman Who Laughs kidnapped Commissioner Gordon and took him to the hideout he shared with the Grim Knight. There, with his own twisted kind of enthusiasm, he said that he hoped to build a strong partnership with Gordon. Of course, in his completely warped version of the word. Not long after, the Batman Who Laughs clashed with the real Batman inside Blackgate Penitentiary. They fought, but Laughs managed to escape. He used a disguise and manipulated the situation so that the guards saw the heroic Batman as the threat and attacked him instead. In the chaos, Laughs slipped away without consequence. Next, he arranged a meeting in an attempt to form an alliance with the Court of Owls. He asked them for a small favor. They refused. In response, they unleashed an army of Talons, their assassins, against him. But Laughs was ready, ahead of time. He had cut off the hands of every one of those undead killers. In practice, he had stripped the court of their greatest weapon before they even had a chance to use it. The Court of Owls suddenly found itself defenseless against his counterattack. The court tried to escape, but the Batman Who Laughs triggered explosive charges he had planted earlier. The blasts rebuilt their labyrinth, changing the layout of the passages so that escape became far more difficult. And that was when Laughs finally said plainly what favor he had wanted from them. He wanted all of them to die. Later, he met the Batman of Prime Earth again, a Batman who was already close to being taken over by the toxin released after Joker's death. The Batman Who Laughs was almost excited by the possibility that another version of him was about to be born. At the same time, he looked at the Batman of Prime Earth with contempt. He considered him the weakest alternative in the entire multiverse because he was the least willing to compromise his values, and because of that, the least happy. Even so, he decided that this Batman could be the missing ingredient in his Wayne serum. So he drove a syringe straight into the chest of the Batman of Prime Earth, trying to complete the transformation. But this time, the plan did not close. Thanks to the intervention of Alfred and a young Bruce Wayne from another world, the Batman of Prime Earth was saved. And the Batman Who Laughs himself was subdued and beaten nearly to death, with Batman using his own mother's tombstone as a weapon, as if symbolically reminding himself who he was and where his mission had truly begun. In the end, the Batman Who Laughs was taken away and locked in a dungeon beneath the Hall of Justice. The Hall of Justice is the main headquarters and operational center of the Justice League, a place for meetings, command, and the storage of key resources. You can think of it as the League's central base, equipped with secure rooms, including areas that can serve as cells for extremely dangerous prisoners. But before the Batman Who Laughs allowed himself to be fully captured, he had prepared one more plan, a plan meant to infect the entire world. To activate the process, he needed the energy of 6 different heroes, so he began hunting members of the Justice League and their allies. he used special batarangs coated with the same toxin that Joker had once used to infect him in his own world. With them, he recruited 4 heroes by infecting them and pulling them to his side: Shazam, Hawkman, Donna Troy, and Blue Beetle. Then the Batman Who Laughs gave the Jokerized Shazam a batarang and ordered him to find Superman and use it on him. At the same time, the Grim Knight infected the final initiate, Commissioner Gordon. With that, they completed the 6 whose energy was needed to begin the global infection. For a moment, it seemed like everything was going perfectly. The Jokerized Superman freed the Batman Who Laughs from his cell in the Hall of Justice. The plan appeared to be working, and Superman, seemingly taken over, asked Batman what his ultimate goal was. The Batman Who Laughs answered without hesitation: the destruction of all life in the multiverse. But that was only a cover. It turned out Superman was only pretending to have been brainwashed. He was playing the role in order to learn the Batman Who Laughs plan from the inside. In reality, the Batman Who Laughs had never even left his cell. He had been fooled by an illusion cast upon him, an illusion that made him believe he had been freed and that everything was unfolding according to his scenario. While he remained trapped in the Hall of Justice, the real Batman and the real Superman went into action. They began tracking down all the heroes previously infected by the Batman Who Laughs, the ones who had joined forces and become a new version of the group known as the Secret Six. While Batman and Superman were busy trying to stop the Secret Six, the Batman Who Laughs managed to escape for real, slipping out from beneath the Hall of Justice, from the hidden underground cells. At the same time, Perpetua, who was already working with Lex Luthor, began to see the Batman Who Laughs as a problem. She concluded that the energies of the dark multiverse were a threat to her, so she ordered Luthor to capture him again. Lex did manage to outsmart the Secret Six, but then he discovered something that immediately raised the stakes. By taking a sample from Gordon, Laughs had infected as many as 666 superheroes. Luthor barely survived the situation. He was saved by the real Joker, who gave him advice that was twisted but accurate. If he wanted to defeat the Batman Who Laughs, he had to stop pretending to be someone else and simply be himself. Later, Lex gathered his own team of villains and empowered them so they could face the growing army of infected heroes. During the battle, Luthor ripped away Laugh's visor. The special face covering that, in practice, was the only thing keeping him anchored to this earth. Lex hoped that by taking it from him, his enemy would lose his advantage. But the Batman Who Laughs immediately answered with deception. He used explosives, outplayed Luthor, and recovered the visor. Then this nightmare Batman ordered Supergirl to set the area on fire. At the same time, he mocked Lex, throwing his weakness to fire in his face, a weakness caused by his human Martian form, and taunted him with a final provocation: that he hoped Perpetua was watching Lex die. But Lex got back up, and then he turned the situation around. He told the Batman Who Laughs that he should have killed him right away, and then drove a blade into him, one that contained the antidote to his dark infection. The cure immediately began freeing those Laughs had infected before. But Lex had no intention of giving the liberated heroes time to react. He instantly teleported himself, Mercy Graves, and the incapacitated Batman Who Laughs to the Godhead, a place connected to Perpetua and her domain, where Lex could show her his victory. Mercy Graves, of course, was Luthor's closest associate and bodyguard. And then it turned out that all of this had been part of the Batman Who Laughs game as well. He rose up as if the defeat had not affected him at all, and revealed to Perpetua that he knew far more about her than she could have expected, knowledge he had supposedly gained from Barbados. He also told her that the Justice League was still alive and that they had been sent by the Quintessence, a group of powerful cosmic beings, on a journey meant to end her reign once and for all unless she acted quickly. And finally, he twisted the knife into Lex. He said that Luthor was too selfish to even consider the possibility that the future he had seen, the one where everyone worshipped him, might have simply been false. The Batman Who Laughs knelt before Perpetua and offered her a deal. She should choose him, not Lex. He should be her deputy, her second in command. Perpetua reacted immediately. For Lex's arrogance and insolence, she stripped him of his powers, then sent him and Mercy back to Earth Zero. And then, she looked into the mind of the Batman who laughs, and the two of them began to laugh, as if they had just seen what was coming next. When the Batman who laughs gathered his forces for the final battle against the Justice League, a direct confrontation followed. This time, however, he lost. He was killed by Wonder Woman. Diana used a chainsaw built from parts of her invisible jet, the invisible aircraft she usually travels in. But the Batman who laughs had a backup plan, even for his own death. Earlier, he had encountered another Bruce Wayne, one who had come into contact with the comedian's button, a mysterious button tied to cosmic scale events and anomalies in reality. That Bruce had built a research device known as an intrinsic field generator. The Batman who laughs decided to use him like a piece on a board. He trapped that Bruce inside the machine, and the accident that followed gave him the power of Dr. Manhattan, a practically omnipotent being capable of manipulating matter, energy, and time. When Bruce, now holding that power, managed to reconstruct himself, the Batman who laughs reacted instantly. He used an energy knife to lobotomize him before he could reach the full height of omnipotence. Then he kept him hidden and gave his location to the Bat-Mage and the other Dark Knights. There was one crucial detail. Although the body of the Batman who laughs had been destroyed, his head and brain had survived intact. The Dark Knights recovered the remains and carried out his command. They transplanted his brain into the lobotomized Bruce Wayne, the one with the power of Dr. Manhattan. After some time, the Batman who laughs woke up and slowly began adjusting to his new body. That was when he heard Batman's Saurus Rex, one of the most absurdly twisted versions of Batman, taking the form of a bat dinosaur, mocking him for not responding to his own name. The answer was immediate. The Batman who laughs literally disintegrated him and coldly remarked that someone like him no longer had a name that could be spoken in any normal way. Soon after, Perpetua reached out to him telepathically and summoned him. The Batman who laughs changed shape, taking on the form he had worn before his death, and spoke with her. She warned him that if other powers discovered what he had done, they would come for him. When the connection ended, he decided that the Dark Knights were no longer useful to him. So he disintegrated them all except one Robin. That one, he anointed with a new title, the Robin King, and he gave him one purpose: help stop Diana from restoring the multiverse while he himself recovered his strength. Then came another transformation. He changed into a gaunt being of pure darkness and gave himself a new name: the Darkest Knight. Over time, the Darkest Knight grew stronger. He broke into Valhalla Cemetery to steal energy from Wally West. When he saw Wally and Barry Allen running, the Darkest Knight went after them, chasing them with obvious sick satisfactions while taunting them at the same time. Even when the Justice League managed to direct the crisis energy into Wally, who was sitting on the Mobius chair, a powerful cosmic throne that grants immense knowledge and abilities, it turned out the process had already been manipulated. No matter the outcome, the energy was always going to flow into the Darkest Knight. He declared victory. He said he now had everything he needed to rebuild the multiverse in his own image, something he called the Last 52. Then he went to Perpetua and revealed that he had been the one behind the plan from the very beginning. And without hesitation, he told her he intended to kill her. Perpetua tried to cut him off from the crisis energy and imprison him, but the Darkest Knight broke free. Then he trapped her again instead, sealing her inside fragments of the source wall, the cosmic barrier tied to the fundamental source of power and the structure of existence itself. After that, he summoned his followers, including several of the original Dark Knights, and ordered them to eliminate every living and undead being that had been sent against him. As the Darkest Knight reveled in his victory, Wonder Woman appeared before him in golden armor. The two clashed in a battle that tore through time and space. The Darkest Knight dragged Diana all the way back to the beginning of the universe, to a place connected to Perpetua's hand. He tried to break her with an argument, He claimed he could stop the Hands, beings from Perpetua's own kind, capable of erasing the universe, and that Diana should join him. Otherwise, everything would be wiped from existence. Diana's answer was brutally simple. She struck him. Using Perpetua's literal hand, she hit him again and again as they both fell through the future, toward the last embers of the Death Sun, a dying star. For the first time, the darkest night showed fear. He could feel Diana's new power, and when he saw the Hands approaching, he began begging her to join him. He screamed, but it was useless. Diana hurled him straight into the sun, and that killed him.